Hello everyone. Today my topic is motor neuron disease. In this lecture series we have two parts. So in this lecture, first part, we will see about the definition of motor neuron disease. From definition you get idea that motor neuron disease is disease of motor system. So in this we also revise the anatomy of motor system. Then we will do revision of upper motor neuron, the area which are considered as upper motor neuron, and the area of nervous system which considered as a lower motor neuron, and also revise the difference between upper motor neuron lesion and lower motor neuron lesion. Then we will discuss the etiology and pathology of motor neuron disease and classification. So first, definition of MND. It is a progressive neurodegenerative disease that includes sporadic or inherited disorder of the motor system. So here the keywords are progressive, degenerative and motor system. So progressive means it is increasing in nature or progression occurs. Then here the degeneration of upper motor neuron or lower motor neuron, or in some cases both upper and lower motor neuron degeneration takes place. So this condition is only or purely involve the motor system. So there is no sensory features present in MND, and they include sporadic. Sporadic means arising or originates without any cause. So in context with this definition, here the sporadic means there is no family history positive, or in some cases it may be inherited. So in some cases it may be due to genetic or inheritance cause, right? So again I repeat the definition. It is a progressive neurodegenerative disease that includes sporadic or inherited disorder of motor system. So from definition now you have idea that MND is a disease which is related with the motor system. So first we revise the motor system anatomy, okay, and then we go in the detail of clinical features of this disease. So in figure you can see right side and left side. I have mentioned motor system with the arrow diagram. Uh, there is a motor cortex of left side and motor cortex of right side. If we start with the right side motor cortex, the fibers goes downward into the internal capsule, mainly in the anterior part of the posterior limb of the internal capsule. They goes downward, and from there they goes downward into the midbrain, then into the pons and in the medulla oblongata. In the lower part of the medulla oblongata, these fibers crossed and goes on the left side, and they relay in the spinal cord at the anterior horn cells, okay, that I have mentioned with the purple dotted spot, right? That is anterior horn cells presented in the spinal cord. So they relay at the left side of anterior horn cells in the spinal cord, and from the anterior horn cells on the left side they gives rise to the motor nerve, and this motor nerve supplies the skeletal muscles or voluntary muscles, which are mainly responsible the voluntary movement of the limbs, okay. So here you can say, or you can say that anterior horn cells are under control of the contralateral motor cortex, okay. So again I will repeat, from the right side you can see the motor cortex, right? So fibers from the motor cortex on the right side, they goes downward into the internal capsule, then into the midbrain, then pons, and in the medulla oblongata. In the lower part of the medulla oblongata, these fibers crossed and goes on the left side and relay at the anterior horn cells of the spinal cord in the left side, right, and they gives rise to motor nerve which supplies the skeletal muscles. Okay, so this is your motor system. Okay, same way the cranial nerve nuclei, which is situated in the medulla oblongata, that I have mentioned with purple dot, right. These nuclei gives rise to cranial nerves, mainly lower cranial nerves, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th, which supplies mainly the muscles of the mouth, right, and tongue. So I have mentioned with the face and in the lower area of the face. Okay, so these 4 nerves, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. So this is with blue color lines. Okay, and these cranial nerve nuclei and cranial nerves are under control of contralateral motor cortex. So they are directly supplied by the left side of motor cortex, and from the motor cortex to the cranial nerve nuclei, this pathway is known as corticobulbar tracts. Okay, so again I request you all to focus on this figure, and now I will say that see the purple dot that is in the medulla oblongata and in the spinal cord. In the spinal cord it represent as a anterior horn cells, and in medulla oblongata it is represent as a cranial nerve nuclei, and the blue color lines in the medulla oblongata, which are known as lower cranial nerves, mainly 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. Okay, that I have mentioned with the blue lines, and here the motor nerve which is supplied to the skeletal muscles, that also I have mentioned with the blue color line. So this purple color dot and blue color lines makes lower motor neuron fibers. Okay, so this area is considered as a lower motor neurons, and again the line which is represent with a black color. So in right side you can see the black color lines which shows corticospinal tracts, and in left side you can see the black color line which innervates into the cranial nerve nuclei from motor cortex to cranial nerve nuclei. So this whole pathway is known as corticobulbar tracts. So the fibers present in the corticobulbar tracts, which are represent with the black color on the left side, and on the right side they are corticospinal tracts. These are considered as a UMN fibers, right? So this portion contains upper motor neurons. Okay, so whenever there is a lesion in this area leads to UMN palsy, and the lesion in the LMN area which leads to LMN palsy. Okay, so hope you are clear with which area is considered as lower motor neuron fibers and which area is considered as upper motor neuron fibers. So now again if we see, the motor neuron disease is a disease which involves mainly the motor neurons, right? But these motor neurons in this disease affected at a different level. Okay, that depends on the which type of MND or which variety patient develops, right? So we all know that is neuron is a structural and functional unit of the brain and spinal cord. So again we repeat the which area is considered as upper motor neuron, the motor neurons of the corticospinal tract and corticobulbar tract, right? And in lower motor neuron fibers, we consider cranial nerve nuclei in the brainstem, or you can say medulla, and motor neuron of the anterior horn cells in the spinal cord. Okay. So now you have idea that patient with MND represents either UMN picture or LMN lesion picture, or maybe both, right? Depends on the variant which they develop. Okay. So let us revise the difference between UMN and LMN lesions. In UMN lesion, the muscle tone is always hypertone, and patient have spastic type of paralysis. Spasticity is present. The muscle wasting is not there. The plantar reflex is always upgoing, and deep tendon reflexes are exaggerated. The muscles affected here, we have finding that a group of muscles are affected, and patient may shows clonus, right? And the fasciculation in EMG, in UMN type of lesion, they are not present, right? So we don't find fasciculation in EMG study. But when we talk about element, the muscle tone is always hypotone, or flaccidity is there, and patient shows flaccid paralysis. There is muscle wasting present. The plantar reflexes are downward going, and deep tendon reflexes are lost or diminished. Here individual muscles are affected, and clonus is not there, and fasciculation are present. Okay, so these are the basic difference which we find in UMN and LMN lesions. Okay. Now, etiology of MND. There is etiology means you can say the cause behind MND. The cause is not known. Generally, possible mechanism is there is an increase in the glutamate, which is a neurotransmitter, which leads to neurodegeneration. And in familial ALS, or you can say familial amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, this is found that there is a decrease in the superoxide dismutase enzyme, so which leads to degeneration of the neurons. Okay. So now pathology in MND. As we know, there is a degeneration of corticospinal and corticobulbar fiber in UMN area, and in cranial nerve nuclei, and anterior horn cell in LMN area, right? So the affected neuron becomes shrunken and covered with the pigmented lipids. So this process is called as lipofuscin. So these changes, abnormal changes occurs in MND patients. Okay. Now, if we discuss the clinical features of MND, so these general features we have found in all variety of MND. The main features are it is progressive, incurable, and it is rare. The muscle weakness is found in any variety of MND. There is no sensory involvement, there is no bowel bladder involvement, eye movements are always normal or not affected. Here the patient have uh, normal mentation, or you can say there is no abnormality with the cognitive functions, but patient may have difficulty in breathing because weakness of diaphragm, and also the muscles supplied by the pharynx and larynx, right? And there is a difficulty in swallowing. So patients are very prone to aspiration pneumonia and respiratory failure, which are the secondary complications which occurs in the MND patients, and this is the main cause of death in MND patients. and death within 3 to 5 years. If you notice here, the mentation is normal, but patient develops muscle weakness progressively. So patient may have tremendous depression, and patient may have uh, tendency of suicide. Okay, so tendency of suicide is very common in MND patients. Now classification of MND, or you can say different variety, because MND in which the motor neurons are affected at a different level. So which level they get affected, and on that basis patient represent different clinical features. So they are classified into progressive spinal muscular atrophy. It is a purely lower motor neuron type of lesion. Here the area which is involved is mainly anterior horn cells and motor nerve. Okay. The second type is primary lateral sclerosis, which is purely upper motor neuron lesion. The area which is affected in this type of MND mainly is corticospinal tracts. Okay, so you can say lesion above the anterior horn cells. Okay, then in amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or you can say ALS, here the motor neurons are affected in both corticospinal tracts as well as anterior horn cells as well as motor nerves. Okay, so it shows LMN plus UMN type of clinical features. Okay, then progressive bulbar palsy. Uh, Here the lesion site is mainly cranial nerve nuclei and lower cranial nerves, mainly 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Okay, and this is again purely element type of lesion. And in pseudobulbar palsy, the area of affection in the motor neurons mainly in the corticobulbar tracts. So purely UMN type of clinical features are presented in pseudobulbar palsy. Now let us see the all variants in details. So first variant is progressive muscular atrophy. In this the pathology mainly at the uh, motor neuron in the spinal cord and brainstem. So you can say in the anterior horn cells of the spinal cord and motor nerve itself, right? So purely element type of lesion, and here the male are more affected than female. The ratio is 4:1, and mainly started with distal involvement beginning in the hands, then there is a weakness, wasting and fasciculation of the hands. And as the disease progresses, the weakness also occurs in other part of the extremities and also in the lower limbs. And in lower limbs, the pretibial muscles involved and ends up with the foot row. There is loss of deep tendon reflexes, and here the disease progression is slowly. But here there is no sign of corticospinal tracts. Okay, so it is strictly element type of lesion, and mainly the lesion site is anterior horn cells of the spinal cord and motor nerve, right? The second variant is primary lateral sclerosis. Usually there is a hereditary presentation, so inherited uh, in nature. It is purely UMN type presentation. Here involvement of the corticospinal and corticobulbar pathway. Again, it is very slowly in progression, and spasticity appears, and there is a weakness of limb more marked in the legs, and it may be associated with pseudobulbar palsy. Now, third variant is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. It is commonly known as Lou Gehrig disease, and it is a classical form of degeneration of both upper and lower motor neuron in the motor cortex. It usually begins in a mid to later life. Mainly onset occurs between 40 to 60 years, rarely less than 40 years of age. The prevalence is 4 to 6 per lakh patient. So there is no significant racial or ethnic pattern seen. The males are more affected than females. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, there is involvement of both UMN and LMN, but generally begins as a unilateral and asymmetrical involvement. There is a weakness, wasting and cramping of the small muscles of the hand. There is impairment in the fine finger movements. Fasciculation we can see in the patient with ALS, and as the disease progresses, the forearm, upper arm and shoulder muscles are involved. There is exaggerated reflexes, positive Babinski sign. We may have spasticity and the leg involvement with foot drop. Gait disorders are there. Vesting is primarily of the introshi and lumbricals as compared to long flexors, and which gives rise to skeletal hand appearance. So in figure you can see there is vesting of hypothenar and thenar eminence. There is vesting of lumbricals. So it looks a skeletal hand picture. Okay. Eventually, the weakness spreads to neck, tongue, pharynx, larynx, and trunk. Weakness frequently asymmetrical in nature. Patient shows fatigue. The sphincter functions and abdominal reflex remains normal, and in most of cases. Patient shows weight loss. Then patient may notice atrophy before functional loss. Very rarely the progression may be in a different form, where the disease manifests itself in a form of crural amyotrophy, in which there is a weakness and wasting of pretibial muscles, which then progress to involve other muscles by involving the trunk and abdominal muscles first before affecting the muscles of the extremity. Generally, the disease start with the weakness in the extremity, but in crural amyotrophic, which is rare form of ALS, in that cases we have involvement of trunk and abdominal muscles first before affecting the muscles of the extremity. Okay. Now another variety is progressive bulbar palsy. In this variety, the pathology lies mainly there is a degeneration of motor neurons of a cranial nerves. So it is typically LMN type of lesion, and mainly the cranial nerves which are involved or affected in this variety is 7th and 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th nerves, right? So patient with progressive bulbar palsy shows primary involvement of the bulbar muscles, muscles of the mouth and jaw, facial muscles, tongues, larynx, pharynx are affected. There is dysphagia, which is difficulty in swallowing, and also there is dysarthria. Okay, so and fasciculation and wasting of a tongue is seen. Eventually, there is a weakness of the pharyngeal muscles which leads to choking. There is absence of jaw jerk and gag reflex as the lesion is typically element type, and the disease progresses in span of 2 years, and the respiratory involvement may lead to death. Now, last variety is pseudobulbar palsy. There is a degeneration of corticobulbar pathway, mainly 5th, 7th, 9th and 10th cranial nerve nuclei. So here the degeneration is present in the corticobulbar pathway. So above the cranial nerve nuclei, right? So mainly they shows purely UMN type of picture. Here patient may shows weakness of muscles of mastication, difficulty in chewing. We have exaggerated jaw jerk and brisk gag reflex as the palsy, as the lesion is UMN type. Patient have monotonous speech, immobile tongue and cannot be protruded. Patient shows emotional labilities, means there is uh, exaggerated crying and laughing without any cause. Patient shows, that is known as emotional lability, right? There is a palatal weakness, allowing food and fluid to enter the nasopharynx. So aspiration pneumonia are very common complication of this type of patient. Okay. So here we are finished with our part 1 of MND lecture series, and I have taken reference from Golwala and Harrison. So you can refer these books for further reading. Thank you all.